There was a similar movie made actually on something like this. I haven't watched it, but I'm still going to plug it now because it's the lowest rated movie ever of all time. It got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's
Hi everyone, I'm Nick Worpole from Strativ Group. I'm the contract director here. Today is the first episode of DC and Me, where we're going to be talking about would the world end if data centres were to shut off? I'm joined by Hana Sutton today. Hana is an industry leader in the data centre space with over 20 years of experience across financial services and obviously data centres, currently working with JLL and previously with Santander. So thank you for joining today.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it.
It's going to be fun.
Will be, yeah. Hope so. Cool. So, look, obviously the topic we want to go through today around what would happen, right, if data centres were to shut off. I mean, talk us through that. Yeah,
so we're going for the big bang. They switch off overnight. So within the first 30 seconds, the world as we know it would feel the impact. So the internet would basically disappear, essentially. You'd find that things that you're normally used to doing, like shopping online at Amazon, or accessing your bank balance, or just being able to have, WhatsApp conversations would suddenly have disappear, basically.
So the world would end in the first 30 seconds.
Done. There's no more episode. It's just gone. That's it. First 30 seconds, we're out. Not quite, but the world as we know it would change. Yeah. I think I would start to feel a panic because I can't online shop anyway. And then the first, 5 minutes, you'd start to feel the communication side of things really start to collapse. So the mobile networks that we're used to making WhatsApp calls and things would start to stop working, really. I don't know if you remember back in the day, you used to wish Happy New Year by text message before, an hour before, in case the networks go down, you start to kind of feel
I still get it from my mum at 11 to try and avoid that.
Yeah, just in case the networks are too
on WhatsApp. It's okay, Mum.
On WhatsApp, exactly. Yes, I'm just going to call you now, darling, before I can't speak to you again. Exactly that. So that would start to feel a bit of an impact from a communications point of view. And then within, 5 minutes to 30 minutes, you'd really start to feel the effects and the impacts. You wouldn't be able to access databases, emails. You wouldn't be able to get onto Google Cloud or Microsoft Teams. I'm really naming clients now. Give me a call. And then within 6 to 24 hours, healthcare would start to really feel an impact and a pressure. So when you're calling, you'd be able to make those calls to healthcare services, but access to records, documents, information would not be there because they're virtually stored using data centers. And then 24 to 72 hours, real critical infrastructure would feel a real strain and a real impact. And that is really because we've made soup. You can tell I'm a good cook now. I was going to say crack some eggs, but that's not quite. We've made an omelette. We've stacked the eggs. We've made the omelette. That's a better analogy. And so trying to then unbreak those eggs and make them back into whole eggs just doesn't quite work. So lots of our systems, our infrastructure, whether it's travel, healthcare, communication, we do that. And we do that virtually and online, and there's systems that are utilised to do those, and networks are in these big buildings that actually are in the middle of nowhere. Most people don't even know that they exist, but they hold some really, really important technology, and those little lights that are buzzing in there, and those cabling, that cabling that's there is actually powering the whole world around us as we know it. So in the very short term, at least, you'd absolutely feel a strain. Medium to long term, the reality is that you then have to, as we are as human beings, get used to it. So that it's not saying that the whole world would end as a result of not having data centres. That would be a bit too arrogant of us, although the impact would be pretty massive. What it does show is the actual role that data centres play in modern society, and they're really crucial. They're really critical to everyday life. Most people I'm not wearing an Apple Watch, and you're not today, but most people wear an Apple Watch, and so but you look around you, and people literally rely on most aspects of of their lives, daily lives, with technology, your phone, your watch, your laptop, you work from home, you know, whatever it might be, and they are all as a result of having data centers.
And I think we mentioned it, Hannah, when we spoke before about the effects of travel, and obviously, look, we're in the UK where the weather's pretty rubbish, so obviously it's gonna.
Do you know it's 21 degree heat today?
And we're stuck down
we're in a
here.
basement. It's rained 3 months straight. But thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure in this warm room downstairs. But like, I think it would probably to like a really relatable piece on like being able to travel. Because I remember you mentioned obviously around the 72 hours when it starts affecting travel networks. Like, how would it affect travel?
Yeah, so I mean, we've seen it in the past where an impact on a data center somewhere has actually prevented planes from flying. So, you know, the scheduling that's done for trains, the scheduling that's done for planes, all the systems, the booking systems, the personal information, the documentation, they're online. They're done in on these systems. Those systems are integrated and supported online, which are then supported by data centers. So if you don't have the data centers or access to there's no access, there's no communication. And so if there's no communication, there's no information. And so, you know, data centers are the core reason that a lot of the things that do function quite smoothly in modern day function so smoothly in modern day. Otherwise, we'd have to go back to, not that I'd mind completely, but, you know, writing a letter and sticking it in the post or pigeons.
Get the nostalgia back.
Yeah.
Haven't sent a postcard in years.
Get some ribbons, you know, let's start a new business. But yeah, so you know, it is the reason that we are able to do things so quickly, and the reason we were able to function during a global pandemic. And you know, we've seen some great progress as a result of data centers and the infrastructure that's there. So we don't build the AI. Somebody actually said yesterday, you know, we don't build the AI, but what we do is we're like the plane that you know, the carrier, the plane that takes you between one destination to another. So we're not the destination entirely, and we're not the person putting onto the transport, but we are the transport. And so without that, you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
That's probably a terrible analogy too, but it in this context. But you know, it worked.
Without the transport, you can't go places.
Well, exactly. Going back to the transport question.
But no, I think it's super interesting, because I don't think, like, I know, like, even as someone who works in the space, when we were like having this conversation, you don't really realise how many different things it's going to impact in the way that it would if they were to stop. Yeah, when you said about the healthcare piece and the travel piece and financial services, like the amount of panic that there would be if that was to happen. And I don't think people would, knowing the general public and speaking to my friends and family about working in the data center market, and they're like, what? Yeah. Like, I think if you were to say like that connection, I think if it actually happened, there would be panic, and they wouldn't then make that connection. Do you know what I mean? They'll just be like, something's like the nuclear war, or there's Armageddon.
It's in the cloud.
It's up there.
Not there. Where's your photo stored? In the cloud? You know, it's just basic basic life. Like I said, just telling the time, or if things are saved to the cloud on your phone, you're looking at your photos or whatever it might be, or watching videos, or sending an email, or booking to go on a flight somewhere, to go on holiday, no matter what it might be. Amazon, shopping, you know, that's all done. It's done in a way that looks to the normal person, it's like, yeah, I'm just going about my day-to-day life, but behind it all is a data center that's powering it. And a lot of people don't know anything about data centers. You're completely right. I mean, I've explained to my mother what I do about 6-7 times. Mum, watch this. You know, and still it can be a little bit confusing, but actually you're right. And even then, I think people would really struggle. I mean, one of the things that's really kind of the reason that brought us together today, and the reason we're here really, was to educate people on the role of data centers and what they do in order to help us attract talent to the market, you know, bring fresh people, fresh perspectives. And the way we're going to do that is really by educating people on what data centers are and what they do. The reality is we're not saying any of this stuff is ever going to happen. It sounds like a movie. There was a similar movie made actually on something like this. I haven't watched it, but I'm still going to plug it now because it's the lowest rated movie ever.
Really?
Of all time. It got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's War of the Worlds.
Oh, yeah.
There was a 2025 War of the Worlds, and it was
the one that was all on phone and laptop.
Phone. It's basically about data centers being taken down, from what I hear. So when I told my family, you know, we were going to do this podcast, they were like, oh yeah, so it's like that really, really rubbish movie, War of the Worlds 2025, lowest rated on IMDb. So, but you know, I think that aside, it's a really critical role that data centers play. It's not just about sending cat videos on YouTube. It's actually a really critical role that the sector plays. And we do get a lot of bad press. You know, they use lots of power, they use lots of water. Well, they do, but actually but they have become more efficient, significantly more efficient than they've ever been. And they also play a really critical, vital role in modern society. And we've talked about, you know, the fact that if they all went down overnight, but there's a huge amount of work that's done with research, medical research. It might be, you know, supporting people, diversity and inclusion, people being able to work from home or have flexibility. It opened up new jobs. So there are pros and there are cons, but just generally within technology and AI. But for me personally, I absolutely love the sector that we're in, and a core reason for that is because I completely understand and see the huge amounts of value that data centers actually bring to the world around us in modern society as well.
Yeah, I think it's like you won't necessarily see that connection to those other industries that are making progress because of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean? So if it's, you know, like say like in healthcare, and it's like we've, you know, this new, like thanks to AI, we've managed to find this new vaccine, for example.
Yeah.
Like that's because of that step being there first to obviously get to that end goal. But it wouldn't be like, thanks to data centers.
No, nobody would say that. It'd be like, data centers are coming in our neighborhood and they're taking up lots of water. But actually, the fact that we are able to have access to huge amounts of research as a result. And then quantum computing is something that's having a lot of breakthrough at the moment as well with the quantum computing chips. There's a need for AI to talk to quantum computing to really have a big impact and influence. It's scary, but it's an interesting subject at the moment. But again, data centers are a need and a requirement to be able to hold that communication, to store that information, to be able to process information and data at such a scale that we've not been able to do. So the world is changing around us at such a pace. It's scary at times, but we do play an absolute pivotal, vital role within modern society to continue to evolve and function. And it's happening, but we're the plane that takes people between, you know, without us, you can't get from A to Z. That's what data centers really do.
Thanks, Hannah. I really appreciate it. I think it was, you know, really eye-opening to give that, you know, to understand a bit more about the data center space and how important it is. And I think you're absolutely right in terms of, you know, giving the general public an education on this, and hopefully giving more visibility to those who are looking into, you know, a career, because it's so desperately needed for this space to have, you know, more young talent, more individuals that have come from other industries, to allow them that access, or to allow that knowledge to then therefore, you know, have access. So I really appreciate you taking the time to go through that today, and hopefully giving, you know, the general public a bit more visibility on what a data center is and how to actually start, you know, working in this space. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us for our first episode today. We've got some really cool guests coming up over the next few episodes. I can't wait to share those with you guys.